where bad kids go. I must have been 6 or 7 when I lived in Lebanon. The country was ravaged by war at the time, and murders were common and frequent. I remember during a particular vicious era when the bombings rarely stopped. I would stay at home, sitting in front of my television, watching a very strange show. It was a kids show, believe it or not. It lasted about 30 minutes and contained strange and sinister images. To this day, I believe it was a thinly veiled attempt on the part of media to use scare tactics to keep kids in place, because of the moral of every episode revolved around very uptight ideologies. Stuff like bad kids stay up late, bad kids have their hands under their covers when they sleep, bad kids steal food from the fridge at night. It was very bizarre, and in Arabic on top of that. I didn't understand much of it, but for the most part, the images were very graphic and comprehensive, even for a kids show. The thing that stuck with me the most, however, was the closing scene. It remained much the same in every episode. The camera would zoom in on an old, rusted, closed door, and as it got closer, strange and sometimes even agonizing screams would become more audible. It was extremely frightening, especially for a children's program. Then a text would appear in the screen in Arabic reading, "That's where bad kids go." Eventually, both the image and sound would fade out, and that would be the end of the episode. Go on to the next show. About 15 or 16 years later, I became a journalist photographer, and the show had been in and out of my mind, popping in through my thoughts from time to time, but nothing major. But eventually, I thought about it enough, and I decided to do some research. I finally managed to uncover the location of the studio. Much of that channel's programming have been recorded, and upon further research, I eventually traveled to the site. I found out it was now desolated and had been abandoned long after the war ended. I entered the building with my camera, and it was burnt out from the inside. I assumed either a fire had broken out or someone decided to incinerate the entire of the wooden furniture. It was during the war, so probably didn't really end out so well. After a few hours of cautiously making my way to the studio and snapping a couple pictures, I found an isolated, out-of-the-way room. But something was different about the door to this room. It was exactly like the one I saw on TV. Could been weird seeing it in real life. I'd only ever seen it on TV, so it just kind of caught me off guard. And after breaking through old locks and managing to break through the door, I remained frozen in that doorway for several long minutes. What were traces of blood, feces, and tiny bone fragments lay scattered across the floor. It was a small room and an extremely morbid scene. But what frightened me the most was what made me turn away and never want to come back. Bolted, caged microphone hanging from the ceiling in the middle of the room. All those screams, they weren't fake.